I had the best marriage in the whole world for 14 years, and I'm very comfortable with the person I see in the mirror, so I'm okay to be on my own.
Optimism, love, and strength have always been embodied by the Irwin family. They have been vocal about their love of animals and their unbreakable connection to the planet for many years. A tragic episode, nevertheless, has been unfolding behind the scenes, and none saw it coming. A sad change in her kid has moved Terry Irwin to tears. She is a strong and committed mother who has bravely continued Steve Irwin's legacy. The family is battling to make sense of and adjust to what was once a promising future after it took a sharp and devastating turn. A mother's anguish at seeing her beloved child confront an unanticipated obstacle is at the core of this tale of sudden change and dashed hopes. With his huge personality and contagious love of animals, crocodile hunter Steve Irwin became a household name. And now that he has passed away, it is difficult to fathom a world without him. Unfortunately, Steve's untimely demise in a bizarre stingray accident occurred in 2006. On a global scale, the loss shattered millions of hearts. For Terry Irwin, his wife, the loss of her husband was compounded by the fact that he was also the father of their 2 children, closest friend, and business partner. Terry has repeatedly recounted the events that followed Steve's death. She said it was a period when she felt completely disoriented. "Steve wasn't just my husband, he was my soulmate," she added in a tearful interview years later. Together, they had created a legacy and a family based on their dedication to protecting endangered species. All of a sudden, Terry had the unfathomable responsibility of continuing that history on her own. What Terry did thereafter, though, was really remarkable. Instead of allowing her sadness to hold her back, Terry took a bold move that would alter the course of her life. To ensure that Steve's quest to preserve animals would live on, she promised to carry on his work. "I had to do it for Steve, for our kids, and for the animals," said the woman. That was the only way forward. The Australia Zoo was the pride and pleasure of the Irwin family, and Terry devoted herself to operating it. It was difficult. The zoo had always been a joint ambition, and now that Steve wasn't there, the part felt like a cruel echo of her grief. But Terry regarded the zoo as a platform for teaching and conservation, a living testimony to Steve's vision, rather than merely a location for people to observe animals. The Australia Zoo's animal rescue and conservation programs flourished during her tenure as director. Among Terry's many accomplishments is the expansion of their wildlife hospital, which has provided care to tens of thousands of sick and injured animals. Wildlife corridors and the protection of endangered species were 2 more initiatives that she led. Although Terry was entrusted with these enormous responsibilities, her job as a mother was increasingly paramount following Steve's death. Terry turned her attention to Bindi and Robert, her children. She wanted to make sure they felt supported since she knew they were mourning too. Terry emphasized the importance of Bindi and Robert continuing their father's work during her moving address at Steve's burial ceremony. Bindi, who was just 8 years old at the time, called him her hero. Robert, who was just 2 years old when he had the accident, would mature into a physical and emotional carbon copy of his father. Terry has frequently shared the heartbreaking occasions when she has witnessed the enduring influence of Steve in her children. "There are times when Robert will do something, whether it's the way he talks about an animal or the way he smiles, and it's like Steve is right there in the room," she added with a tear in her eye. Even though she was overcome with emotion, these experiences also provided her hope. In 2008, when Bindi's television series Bindi the Jungle Girl won an Emmy, Terry experienced a surge of emotion. It was a wonderful moment for Terry to see her daughter continue the Irwin name and inspire millions of young viewers. She went on to call it a full-circle moment when she realized that despite their hardships, Bindi's love of nature had grown. In a similar vein, Terry is quite proud of Robert's success as a wildlife photographer. He has garnered worldwide acclaim for his breathtaking photographs of wildlife in their native environments, which have helped bring attention to important conservation causes. Terry has spoken about the pain she feels seeing Robert step up to the plate to carry on Steve's legacy. "When I see him with a crocodile or snapping photos of wildlife, it's like looking at a younger version of Steve," according to her. It's bittersweet, but mostly it's beautiful. The ones that Terry shares with the public are the most moving because her genuine feelings show how much she loved and loves Steve. Terry has spoken and given interviews extensively on the trip her family has taken. Her most moving speeches have been those in which she has discussed the difficulties she has had coping with life since Steve's death. Terry spoke about finding the strength to keep going in one very poignant speech she gave at a conservation event. The sincerity and openness of Terry have been frequently lauded by her admirers and followers. Many others have found strength in her story of loss and perseverance. Terry Irwin is an inspiration for her tenacity and perseverance, even now. Even Steve himself would be surprised by how far her efforts have taken Steve's legacy. Love and dedication, as Terry has demonstrated time and again via her worldwide conservation efforts and her support of her children on their own extraordinary adventures, can triumph over the worst of catastrophes. Terry has shown us that the Irwin family is stronger than any one individual or event, that we are all connected by a common goal of improving the world through all of our shared sorrows, struggles, and victories. Robert Irwin's incredible metamorphosis over the years is a testament to his upbringing as the son of the famous Steve Irwin. The untamed splendor of nature, the mighty roar of animals, and the affection of a conservation-minded family have embraced him since he was a little boy. Environmental protection. His mother, Terry Irwin, Robert Irwin's life started off in a most unusual way. How, his exposure to the marvels of nature began shortly after his trailing crocodiles grow up to become an acclaimed wildlife the Australian state of cherished public personality, and Steve Irwin, the famed crocodile hunter, and Terry, his mother, brought him up at the Australia Zoo, which was more than just a house, it was a haven for animals. Try to picture yourself as a kid playing in the garden with crocodiles while growing up. Robert did just that. Robert wasn't content to merely watch animals, he got his hands dirty, learning from his dad how to care for reptiles, feed kangaroos, and appreciate the natural world's intricate harmony. Respect, compassion, and stewardship were the teachings taught, not only how to care for animals. After Steve's untimely passing in 2006, Terry ensured that Robert and Bindi maintained ties to the job that their father had a profound passion for. His insatiable curiosity was one of the first indicators that Robert would develop a deep love for nature. He took an enthusiastic interest in learning from his father's presentations, studied animal behavior, and asked many questions. However, Robert's devotion to nature did not wane like that of other children. On the contrary, it became stronger. Robert began making television appearances with his mother and sister when he was just 4 years old, proving to the world that he inherited his dad's limitless energy. His camera caught the contagious grin on this tiny boy's face. Robert was clearly forging his own unique path rather than merely following in his father's footsteps. As Robert matured, his personality and enthusiasm shone through, captivating audiences worldwide. By the time he was a teenager, he had already achieved stardom thanks to his genuine connection with animals and the fact that he was more than just Steve Irwin's son. Are you able to handle performing in front of a live audience of millions before you reach the legal driving age? An unforgettable event for Robert happened during his time on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. With a wide variety of exotic animals including snakes and sloths, Robert captivated viewers with his self-assurance, wit, and extensive knowledge. His endearing ability to juggle teaching and entertaining paid homage to his father's work, but he gave it his own unique spin. These visits served a greater purpose than simply showing adorable animals. They aimed to bring attention to important causes. Audiences of all ages were captivated by Robert's message, which centered around conservation efforts, endangered species, and the significance of appreciating animals. You couldn't fake his charisma, it was an authentic expression of his enthusiasm. Robert eventually expanded his acting career beyond chat programs to include nature specials and documentaries. The conservation media community adored him because of his charisma, ease of expression, and command of the camera. From an inquisitive youngster to a successful environmentalist, Robert has passed through several turning points in his life and profession. His accomplishments as a wildlife photographer are well acclaimed. The images of Robert Irwin have been displayed in galleries all across the globe. Robert had a gift for capturing the splendor of nature even as a child, but his passion for photography soon turned into a profession. His breathtaking wildlife photography has garnered him several honors throughout the years. His photographs frequently highlight the plight of endangered animals and the fragile habitats in which they live, drawing attention to the critical importance of protecting these areas. In 2020, he took home first place in the Wildlife Photographer of the Year competition with a striking image of a woodland devastated by a blaze. Not only was the shot stunning, but it also conveyed the tragic effects of climate change with great poignancy. This was a watershed event for Robert. It demonstrated the power of his work to raise consciousness and motivate people all across the world. A picture may be worth 1,000 words, but Robert's photos are worth 1,000 calls to action. However, Robert's impact extends beyond the realm of photography. He is actively involved in running the day-to-day operations and conservation initiatives at the Australia Zoo, including the rescue of wounded animals and the establishment of breeding programs for endangered species. No part of the zoo's purpose escapes Robert's attention. His crocodile study program, which monitors the habits and whereabouts of free-ranging crocodiles, stands out among his other endeavors to learn how to preserve these amazing reptiles' ecosystems while living in harmony with them. This research is essential. Along with his work at the zoo, Robert has made impactful talks at international conservation conferences, where he frequently emphasizes the need for young engagement in safeguarding the environment. In the conservation community, he is well regarded for his ability to simplify difficult topics in a manner that is both accessible and motivating. Robert Irwin's rise and fall is more than simply an autobiographical account. It is the carrying on of a family tradition that started with his dad and is now thriving thanks to Robert's distinct contributions. Because of his dedication, skill, and enthusiasm, he has become an inspiration to those who fight for animal rights. It's not enough to merely continue his father's work, he must also leave his own imprint. Evolving from a timid youngster who bravely dealt with snakes into a renowned photographer and environmentalist, the life of Robert Irwin exemplifies the power of following continuously proves that the Irwin heritage is flourishing. His mother Terry has been there for him every step of the way, and she is filled with pride as she watches her son grow into an extraordinary young man. Steve Irwin could see him right as now. Robert's story develops, special moments in Terry Irwin's life in the field of animal preservation. His metamorphosis, the Irwin family story, is among the most moving and motivational. The renowned family matriarch, Terry Irwin, has lived a life woven with love, tragedy, perseverance, and optimism. As she has dealt with the tragedy of her husband Steve Irwin's death, she has taken tremendous delight in seeing her son Robert become an ardent environmentalist. Terry has shed tears of enormous pride and love, not sadness. So let's examine those times more closely. Always, Robert has had lofty expectations to meet. He grew up in the spotlight of his adoring followers, who knew he was the son of the crocodile hunter. Robert, nevertheless, has not buckled under the strain but has instead forged his own way. Among his many accomplishments in the last many years is his wildlife photography. For his stunning photographs of wild creatures, Robert has received accolades from all around the world. A shot he took of a forest in Australia that had been devastated by a firestorm went viral and was shown in many exhibitions. It captured a glimmer of optimism among the rubble. Terry was profoundly affected by this scene. Because she witnessed Robert use his abilities to share stories about the strength found in nature, Terry regularly expresses her admiration for Robert's talent for making universal connections through his work and interviews. It's like he's channeling Steve, she added, her voice quivering with passion. Robert's passion for capturing the beauty of the kingdom isn't just about taking pictures, it's about inspiring action to protect these creatures. As Terry watches her son take on a job that blends art and conservation, she feels as if she is seeing the strong resurrection of her late husband's legacy. When Terry hears the words, "He's just like his dad," she feels a pang of sadness. A well-publicized feature of Robert's metamorphosis has been the striking likeness between him and Steve, both physically and in terms of his demeanor and his obvious love of nature. Many viewers have remarked that Robert is reminiscent of Steve in his boundless energy, innocent curiosity, and fearlessness among animals. These are instances of mixed emotions for Terry. Similar to his dad's numerous previous appearances on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, Robert included some of his beloved animals during a segment. Terry confessed afterwards that she was moved to tears when she witnessed his assurance in handling a large serpent while describing its significance to the audience. "It was like Steve was standing there again," said her. But it was also uniquely Robert. He's not just carrying Steve's torch, he's making his own fire. Although it is a difficult experience for any parent to witness their kid grow up, Terry has found it especially difficult to watch Robert go from an inquisitive youngster to an environmentalist making headlines around the world. One touching scene from a family video showed Terry remembering how her 2-year-old son Robert would follow Steve throughout the Australia Zoo, imitating his every action. He's always been a little Steve, she added, her grin filled with nostalgia. But what amazes me is how he's taken that influence and turned it into something so distinctly his own. The way Robert engages with the general populace is another indication of his development. He used to be quiet and reticent when he was a youngster, but now he speaks up passionately at conferences all around the world to protect animals. Terry opened up about how witnessing Robert perform on large venues makes her cry in an interview. "I know how proud Steve would be," she pointed out, "and that makes me even prouder." In the many interviews, films, and media appearances that the Irwin